And here we go. The Xbox Now show has been taken over by the Xbox Drive crew. What is going on? Sean, how the heck are you?
Oh my gosh, was that not the best show ever, Josh? I am so freaking pumped. We now get to put a bit of a wrapper on the fact that you and I and Ryan here, we got together, we did our predictions. I would say we'll start off by saying that big fat 0 on our predictions, and yet I'm still happy. I came in with expectations. They gave me so much more. Dude, that was such a strong showing by Xbox. I'm so happy, man. How are you?
Hey, doing great. I thought the show was amazing. Ryan,
yeah.
Where's your hype level at, boss?
It's pretty high. I'm not freaking out like Sean is, but I am very excited after what might have been one of Xbox's finest showcase, and I'm so hyped to talk about it with you guys today because I mean this is the day us Xbox fans have been waiting for months and months and months, and it's finally here. I'm just so glad E3 is back, just in general, but let alone just seeing Xbox be so strong today. So yeah, I'm ready to get into this.
So we were definitely wrong on a whole lot.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Because we were wrong on so many things, Sean, were there any disappointments for you? We can just get those out of the way first.
I wanted my joystick, Josh. I wanted a Sidewinder joystick here. I wanted some hardware. I don't know. And jokes aside, not disappointed I didn't get a joystick. Not disappointed, but a little surprised that we don't have Design Labs controllers coming back to us. Like that's still going to be asleep for a little while longer. But I do feel like a lot of our predictions were maybe a little bit out there. We knew generally what was going to happen, but there was a few titles that I'm sure we'll get into that kind of they surprised me that I kind of went, I'm not really a fan of like Stalker. I don't know much about this. And by the end of that trailer, I got pulled in quite a little bit. And man, it was just game after game after game. I thought they blended Bethesda in with Xbox really, really nicely. Is exactly how I would have drawn it up, and they did it perfectly without having okay, now it's time for the Bethesda stuff. And then we get back into, like, there wasn't like a jarring shift. Very well put together. The flow was great. They hit you with games. I feel like every half an hour, I was like, oh my gosh, that's only been a half an hour. We still got an hour left. And oh my gosh, we're an hour in, and they've shown us all this great stuff. What's the last half going to look like? I'm not 1000% high on it. I thought the closer was not like amazing for me, but I got my Forza, man. I got my Forza Horizon 5. I thought it looked amazing. I was talking before we started the show with the folks over at the Xbox Empire and thinking like Forza Horizon is always a beautiful game. It's one of my favorite franchises around, and it's open and it's really fun and it's surprisingly accessible for a lot of people to jump into a racing game. But it's always got that like, could look a little better. Forza Motorsport looks a little bit better, but this looked unbelievable. One of the ways I describe it is like, it looks like you can feel the humidity in the air, like the graphical presentations, like, and if anybody's been in Mexico, you get off the plane, you're like, holy crap, you feel it immediately. Like that's what I got from that presentation. But I could, dude, I am on cloud 9 about this Xbox presentation. So I'll turn it back to you guys to get our overall impressions here, because I'll go on and on.
I'm with you. Like it was so well done. And yeah, they didn't focus on any of the 20th anniversary stuff. They didn't focus on any hardware, but they focused strictly on games. And almost from the moment the show started, I was like, no, they're not going to focus on any of that stuff. This is going to be a games presentation. This is what E3 should be. And then they can do like some 20th anniversary stuff. They can do some hardware stuff at another time.
Totally.
At another time. And I think that's how it's going to go. Ryan, where are you at, man? What do you think?
So yeah, as far as, disappointing things, honestly, it's other than a small little bit of like presentation knickknacks that like for example, the closer at the end wasn't really, I think as strong as a lot of the other stuff we saw in the middle of the show. The only thing that I wish we would have seen more of besides like the anniversary stuff is maybe like a Game Pass montage of like, here's like the next 12 months of Game Pass. Yes, we kind of got that with the graphic to kind of show us that we've got Game Pass releases coming every single month, but I kind of wanted to see like more of an expanded list of kind of what we see from Game Pass, because we already usually get like 5 to 10 games like twice per month on Game Pass. So we obviously know that there's more there.
10 today. There's 10 today, Ryan.
That's
10
true,
Bethesda games are today.
But you know what? I wish they would have leaned into that a little bit more. But at the same time, just all of the stuff you guys said, I totally agree with. The show was amazing, and they did exactly what we've been asking them to do for the last couple of years, which is not talk about games that are super far away, because that's what they've been talking about with Fable, with Perfect Dark, with State of Decay 3. They talked about all the games that are coming soon. Like the farthest game away game that we talked about today was Ayudian Chronicles, which is 2023, but we knew that was very far away because the Kickstarter just got funded for that at the beginning of this year. So, I mean, for the most part, all the other games are by the latest, like summer or fall 2022, which is exactly what they needed to do. They needed to show us that there's a reason to be an Xbox fan, an Xbox gamer between now and when Fable or Perfect Dark comes out. And I think they definitely delivered on that today.
30 games were shown, 27 are coming to Game Pass. They laid it out at the start. That was absolutely perfection. I normally agree with pretty much 99% of whatever Ryan Turford says over on the Xbox Tribe, but I will say I like that there was no montage. Nothing was lost. Everything they showed got and deserved a dive into, I wouldn't say necessarily always a deep dive, but they showed us a lot of the games that they showed. Nothing was cheap. Nothing was minimized or marginalized by like here's your NT montage. Like this is kind of expected. Everything got a good amount of time, and except for the roadmap for Game Pass is really the thing. That splash screen there. There's two splash screens that showed what Bethesda is doing to Game Pass today and what the overall roadmap is for the rest of 2021, which are both phenomenal. But they jam-packed that 90 minutes so well, man. I couldn't be happier as an Xbox fan.
They really did. And so you guys have asked me to take the wheel on this Xbox Drive. So we're just going to kick it off. Starfield coming 2022, 11/11. I love the way they showed it within the control panel.
Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. There was a few they did that with a few different things, little Easter eggs and stuff like that. Starfield 2022. It's not coming this holiday. Ryan, take it away, baby. What do you think?
So I really love the vibe that they were showing off with the Starfield trailer, because we get a lot of sci-fi games, but they're always like weird, like almost like fantasy takes on sci-fi, or you don't really get like a lot of realistic or grounded takes on sci-fi. You see that in a lot of other media. Like, for example, Cowboy Bebop is a great example of that, where even though it's like millions of years in the future, it's very much a future that's set in reality, and it's very grounded. And that's kind of how I felt watching the Starfield trailer, where it very much reminded me of something like Prometheus or Alien, where like the technology feels like it's still in the future, but it's very much evolved over technology we have today. So I thought that they set the right tone with it. Obviously, we didn't see any gameplay of it, but we know that that's November of next year, so it is a very long ways away, and we're going to see more gameplay between now and then. Like, especially like next G3, I suspect that's when we're going to kind of get like the big like deep dive look at Starfield. But I am very excited about it. Again, it's been a long time since we've had a new IP from Bethesda. In fact, funny enough, it's been 21 years since the last new IP from Bethesda, which is older than the Xbox brand has been around. So it's just funny to think about how long it's been since Bethesda Game Studios did a new IP themselves. So yeah, I'm so ready for this game, but obviously it's a long ways away, so I'm going to keep my hype contained until then.
Sean, where are you at?
Starfield showed me what I wanted. It makes sense that it's that far away, because it looks like the rest of this year is jam-packed. They're not doing a Battlefield Titanfall type of deal where they're cramming too much in. They showed us what they should, I think, at this point, given how far away it is. That's okay. They announced a couple of years ago that this game was a thing that they're working on. Now we get to see a bit of a teaser to get a bit of a sense of what that world could look like. Some really cool stuff within that teaser, like a lot of environmental kind of storytelling. You can kind of look at, what was the thing on there that said do not use? Like, what was that? There's maybe some classic Bethesda, almost even like a Outer Worlds type of humor in there. But yeah, I echo everything that Ryan said. Like, I want to explore the space that they're giving us. Like, we often get space stuff like Outer Worlds, like Mass Effect, things like that, where you click a button and then you end up somewhere else. But honestly, like, I want to experience like the space travel of it all. And just see, like, Bethesda is known to give us these giant worlds. It makes sense that they're taking us, instead of just one world, to maybe multiple worlds, to the universe. I really want to see like what that entails and what they've been working on, man. So they intrigued me with this teaser, and I think that's exactly what they needed to do today.
The thing that, like, I scrolled back the B-roll a little bit so that we could take, kind of take a look. There's a weapon there. Like, again, you see, you're talking about that do not use. Is this just Skyrim in space? Is it going to be so much more than that?
Would that be so bad though? Like, because Skyrim is like, there's so much lore to it, right? Like, I think that's one of the biggest things is like, there's a big world, there's a lot of choices and agency that people have. But if it's that plus like the enormity and just vastness of space, and I think the way that they're demonstrating the tech here, they've got like mech loaders around here. I mean, it's so hard to not get too carried away with this stuff, because it is just a CG trailer, but the art style looks totally different than what I would have expected from this team. Like, there's a particular art style, there's a particular art direction that we see with Skyrim and Fallout that looks away, but this looks different. It looks a little bit more cinematic. It looks a little, even just the way that the colors pop a little bit differently. It's just, they seem to be tackling this in maybe a different way than Skyrim from what I've seen.
Yeah. And to your point, Sean, like what I suspected and was a little bit worried about going into the Starfield reveal was this game tonally or visually going to look too close to something like the Outer Worlds, which is very much just Fallout in space. And especially coming from Bethesda Game Studios, like that's what I was worried we might see something too close to that. So I love the fact that they're going kind of in a different direction with this, and in a direction we don't typically see with a lot of current sci-fi games today.
It also opened the show. It's worth mentioning and kind of highlighting that too, that this game was the one that opened it, and also that Todd Howard was the first person that we saw here. Like, that's kind of what I mean by, I like the way that they integrated Bethesda in with Xbox. They didn't have to like jump over and go like, okay, Todd, like take it away for your 15-minute kind of segment. It was, this is the way it started out. There's like absolute clarity. This is an Xbox exclusive. It's coming to Game Pass day and date. Like, there was a lot that was said here by showing us actually quite a little. There's a lot of questions that were coming around Starfield, and I thought they did a good job of answering enough of those, with still knowing that we have another year and a half until this game is out. Like, we're going to be asking a lot more questions. We're going to want to see more of Starfield over the next 18 months or so. So I think it was right for them to show what they showed us, because there's a lot more time. There's another E3 until the next time we see this game. So we could get a good deep dive into gameplay this time next year. So I'm glad they didn't like overshoot, which is kind of what they did maybe with Halo, arguably what they did with Halo last year. And they've kind of had to redact a little bit of that as they rewind and fix a little bit of what's going on with Halo now.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm left with a lot of questions. Are we going to be playing as different alien races? Is it going to be similar to Skyrim in the fact that, like, you're going to create your character, but at the same time, if it's about exploration, maybe we don't know. Maybe we are just playing as a human. We're going to discover those alien, those alien races within the game.
And even what the conflict is, right? Like, we're just seeing like it's space. You're out there. There seems like we've got a planet. You're going to be wandering the universe or the galaxy. But like, what is the conflict here? And I always think like that's sort of the thing that's really interesting about Fallout. Like, the setting almost is like the world that you're in is almost a character, as cliche as that might be to say, but it offers so much. And I'm really excited to see what Bethesda does with the galaxy impacting your journey, where the wasteland in Fallout is like, it creates all of the characters that you're combating against, and it creates like the vault itself and the story. It's so integrated. I don't know that people really give a lot of appreciation to the way that Fallout really does that it's so intertwined. Nothing really seems out of place in Fallout. And I hope that they're able to kind of keep that under wraps with the vastness of space in Starfield. So you're right. Lots of questions still, but perfect amount at this point. We're not buying it right now. They allowed us, they gave us a little tease, and then they let us focus on the stuff that's coming out over the next 6 to 7 months.
I mean, Sean, are you really buying it anyways, though? It's in Game Pass. Just saying.
I mean, that's the thing. I don't have to worry about, I'm buying 3 of all the games that we saw. We're maybe having to spend extra money on 3 games.
Yeah.
What were they? Far Cry, Battlefield, and there was one other one. Oh, Diablo. Was the 3 games that we saw here that are not coming into Game Pass, which I'm happy to be. Well, Battlefield probably not going to be buying, to be honest. With Halo, with free multiplayer and everything else that's happening, I'll probably be picking up Diablo because I'm a huge fan. And Far Cry, I think looks great anyways. Didn't need to see any more of that. But dude, like, this was a Game Pass showcase. It said Xbox, but this was, you got to sign up for Game Pass at this point.
I mean, Xbox is Game Pass at this point.
Yeah,
and Captain Logan makes a good point in the chat. He said Todd coming out first showed a lot of trust from Phil.
Yep.
And I think that is very true. So moving right along, Stalker 2. We're seeing it right now. I kind of liked the way they showcased this game. There was like the guys sitting at the campfire, all kind of talking about what went down, and then they showed us kind of what went down. Now, this isn't a series I'm real familiar with. Ryan, I'm going to start with you. Is this a series that you've played, that you're excited for the sequel?
So Stalker actually started out on PC and is not really a series that I've really been into, mainly because it is very much a survival shooter, which is, if you're into survival elements, then I think you're going to like a game like Stalker, especially if you liked playing a game like Fallout New Vegas on like the survivor mode, for example, where you've got to make sure you're drinking all the time and eating and stuff like that. Like those are systems that don't really appeal to me personally. So I was cautiously optimistic when they first announced that Stalker 2 was coming to Xbox last year, and getting to see the trailer today, it looked really cool. We didn't really get to see any of the survival stuff from the trailer today. So that's why I'm still kind of in the cautiously optimistic camp with this one. But at the same time, number one, a lot of the shooting elements they showed in this look really cool. It looks really tight. So I definitely think it's probably going to be a fun game to play. Plus it's in Game Pass. So I will still be trying it out, even though I'm not really into, survival games, into survival shooters or anything like that. But I think what they showed today was really strong. It's definitely a gorgeous looking game. Just again, we're watching it back now and just looking at some of the puddles or some of the ray tracing effects on some of the weapons and stuff. It just looks awesome. So it's a game that I am more impressed coming away from this event with, but I still want to know more about kind of the systems first before I kind of commit to a deep dive on this game.
Sean, where are you at with Stalker 2?
It's on Game Pass. As this game was coming up, I'm like, I don't know anything about this game. And I literally said, as we were streaming it, I said, this is kind of a weird game to go second with. They launched with Starfield. I thought that was a really good start. That's what people were asking for about. I'm like, nobody's asking about this game. And by the end of it, I'm like, this looks really good. I think it showcased the graphical fidelity and ability of the Series X in particular, and kind of gave me some Death Stranding vibes, to be honest with you. Like, what is going on here? What are we testing for? What are our instruments that we're waving around in the air and checking out this environment? The other thing that we mentioned too that it sort of looked like was a little bit of Metro vibes as well. A bit of a different take on the shooter. Like, it's obviously from the first person perspective, but looks like a little slower, a little more maybe a thinking man's first person shooter. Very dark as well. Like, you're really gonna have to rely on the lighting here. And it's just a highlight for Game Pass, because this is one that I'm paying attention to more games through an Xbox presentation now, knowing that these games are coming to Game Pass. Whereas, like, we just came off of Square, and I'm like, these guys are asking us to pay dollars for all of those games on Square. And it's a tougher road, man. It's a bigger gap for me to jump across. And with Stalker, why wouldn't I try this out? It looks very, very cool. And it sells me on Game Pass as another game I'm going to be looking forward to over the next few months.
Do you guys feel that as soon as we saw that first creature?
Yeah.
I just felt like it was a little bit of a nod to Half-Life. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh, that's gotta be somewhat of a nod right there. So, and I totally agree with what you guys are saying. Having these games in Game Pass, it's like, I have no problem taking it for a test drive.
Of course.
seeing
Yeah.
if it's for me. I mean, I do agree. Kind of a strange game to come out as the second game in this showcase, but at the same time, I feel like there was elements to this game that they showed off the power of the system, and the more they showed, the more I became more and more interested. I mean, looking at this
The
right
weather
now,
effects.
like,
Yeah.
this is crazy.
Yeah, the lightning, right? And paired up with that rail gun that they showed at the exact same time, that rail gun looked really cool. And for me, it takes a lot to go look at the weapons in this game. You know, we've played millions of these first-person shooter games over the past, years of gaming and decades of gaming. And so for a gun to show up on its own, they did one blast, and it's like, that looked really, really good. Stalker 2 is as maybe a generic name as a kind of Heart of Chernobyl. Chernobyl's got some intrigue there as well. And it's coming out on April 28th, 2022, as it's coming out day and date with Game Pass, my friend.
There we go. So we'll be checking that one out. Next up was definitely one of the highlights of the show, and finding out it was going to be on Game Pass was Back 4 Blood. Ryan, I'm going to start with you on this one. Were you a Left 4 Dead fan? Are you excited for Back 4 Blood? Are you tired of zombies? Where you at?
So I'm pretty tired of zombies, but Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 are some of my favorite games on the 360 era of consoles, and seeing Turtle Rock kind of back in full form just gets me so excited for this game. And knowing that it'll be on Game Pass, like, this is the type of game that obviously you don't usually want to play by yourself. You can play these games by yourself, but it's more fun if you play with friends, and making sure that everyone has this, I think, is going to do wonders for this game. It's going to make sure that people are consistently playing this game. It's probably going to build a pretty strong community on Xbox for this particular game. Whereas, again, like to Sean's point, you could either pay, $60 to $70, of course, depending where you live, for the game on PlayStation, for example, or you could play it on Xbox as part of your subscription, or PC, because that's always an option too. Because I think it's on PC Game Pass. They announced after the show was over too. So yeah, I mean, Back 4 Blood, really strong Game Pass inclusion, and one that I've been kind of thinking was going to come to Game Pass for a long time, pretty much ever since they announced it. But it's awesome to see that it's finally confirmed. And the trailer itself just looks exactly like Left 4 Dead, and that's all I really kind of want this game to be. So yeah, I'm really excited for this game. And October is a great time for it to come out too, because again, it's right around Halloween. It's spooky. So yeah, hype for this one.
That giant creature that they just showed, like it's so wild. Sean, where are you at with Back 4 Blood?
This is Xbox, man. Ryan and I often talk about, like, what is the identity? What are the games that kind of create the identity for Xbox, so that when you're playing on this ecosystem, like, what are the games that come to mind? And this style of game kind of skipped an entire generation. We saw a little bit of it with like games like Evolve or things like that, but Left 4 Dead was such a quintessential experience for anybody on the 360 days with the first one and then the second one. It's so great to have this style of game come back, and a way to bring people together. Like, that's what Xbox Live was really trying to create. This game looks a little more serious, a little darker than Left 4 Dead. Left 4 Dead was very kind of irreverent, very silly, aware of itself, of what it was sort of like parodying in terms of just the horror genre. But it was such a innovative game, an innovative take on it. It was much smarter of a shooter than people, I think, gave it ever credit for, just in the way that it adapted to how you were doing. Like, if you were really going through it really well, it would pull back on how much ammo it was giving you. Or if you were struggling a little bit, it would throw some, power weapons at you, some extra ammo. So Turtle Rock has got some chops, man. And I'm excited because now they're not held back by the power of the console. Like, we're getting full on Series X here, 4-player co-op, and powered by, as Ryan mentioned, with Game Pass. Like, it's just like, let's play this day one. Let's not wait for this to eventually maybe come to Game Pass. Let's all just play together. We'll party up and just do 4-player co-op against just a horde of zombies. I'm totally in on this. It was one of the things when people, I think, at least for me, when I first saw this game, it's like, this needs Game Pass. It's creating this need for a lot of these games now that in order for like multiplayer, especially multiplayer focused games, to really have any chance of success, you kind of need Game Pass or a really exceptional gaming, like a gameplay to get you to buy into maybe $70 for what we're seeing with Battlefield. So I'm in, man. Absolutely. Oh, great. Now we're 3 games into the thing. Really, really good start.
An excellent start. Yeah. Back 4 Blood was looking incredible. I'm all in. And lady in chat says when she played the alpha, she was so hyped, and she's very excited to see it on Game Pass as well. Next up here, we're looking at Contraband, which
whatever this is.
It's a very groovy trailer. It looks like it's straight out of the 70s, and we don't really know anything about this game. It exists. They kind of set the tone a little bit, but it's like a co-op open world game. That's it. Yeah, basically that's all they confirmed through like photos in the environment.
Yeah, they didn't have a lot to show us. They sort of they have a record of Avalanche Studios who tells us who makes it. There's a couple Polaroids that tell us it's co-op and open world. Just visual or art direction on what we might be experiencing in this game. But I guess you kind of have to fill in the blanks on like the fact that Avalanche was the one who made this game. Which, Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the Mad Max studio.
Yeah, this is the Mad Max studio that did Mad Max and Rage 2, bunch of games. So yeah, they're pretty much open world games are their specialty. So
gritty.
I mean, a new game coming from them. I've always liked Avalanche's games. So knowing that they're working on a new open world game gets me excited. But obviously, it's tough to get excited for something where you don't even really know what it is. Like, we don't even know what the gameplay is, other than it kind of looks like you're going on a camping trip in the 70s. That's it. That's all it looks like we're doing. Who knows, though? As one would say, Sean, it could be anything.
Could be anything. They couldn't have had too many more of these. Like, this was their one where they're not going to tell you too much. It's a game that's being made. It's on Game Pass, and that they got that one. They used that one up with that one.
It very much reminded me of the reveal of, Fable or Perfect Dark or any of those long away games. That's the one that it felt like it was like that. So
one of the biggest surprises for me has to be Disney and Sea of Thieves coming together. I said it in my last little our little E3 Xbox post show. The first thing I did was text my daughter. I was like, hey, look. And she's like, I need this. I'm like, you have it. She's like, all right, let's go. Man. She's a huge Pirates fan. And the moment we saw this right here, I was like, they got Jack Sparrow? Like, no way. Like, you just knew. You knew it was him even before, like, just the trying to get the dog over to get him out of the brig. And man, what a great addition to this game. Now, I haven't spent a ton of time in this game. I've always kind of wondered what this game is really about. The few times I've played it, I get stuck in the brig because I go a little too pirate. All right. I get a little too pirate. I steal the ship while they're trying to get the goodies. And I get stuck in the brig a lot. So Sean, I'm going to start with you. What were your thoughts when you saw Disney and Sea of Thieves coming together?
Disney did feel like a bit of I don't know, it's not quite a mic drop moment, but it's pretty damn close. Seeing the Disney logo on an Xbox stage is a massive deal, and what a perfect fit. I will say I'm just captivated by the animation, like just perfect. Like they've captured Jack Sparrow. Like I'm doing like this drunken kind of like walk, like the slurred kind of words. Everything is captured really well. And for me, like I'm not a huge Sea of Thieves fan. I'm not gonna come in here thinking like trying to portray anything but that. But this has me very, very interested. This has a little something like more than just, I guess I'll go wander the seas and like find an island and maybe find a treasure chest somewhere. Like that's kind of my experience with Sea of Thieves. This gives it a little bit more focus. And I know people who are playing it, there's trillions of people who are playing it over the last couple of years who enjoy how open it is and you create your own adventure and whatever. But this gives it a little focus to me that I want to go see Jack Sparrow. I'm a fan. The music fits. It makes sense. This is one of those things that like, if a bunch of us just podcasters would go like, what would make Sea of Thieves really good if they did like Pirates of the Caribbean, and they did it. They licensed it. It looks like it fits within the same world. It seems to make sense. and it's on Game Pass. So of course, like I will definitely be giving that a shot. I feel like it feels like a win for the Sea of Thieves community as well. Like it feels almost like a validation almost that they got such a huge property to attach to Sea of Thieves. So it seems to legitimize it a little bit is my take on it.
I completely agree, and I want to give a shout out to Captain Logan, who is the host of the Keelhauled podcast, which is a Sea of Thieves podcast.
Oh, that's great.
He's dropping a little insider information for us right now. He's like, Disney coming to Sea of Thieves? I hadn't heard. Yeah, right. You hadn't heard, Mr. Captain Logan. He said they also had Jack Sparrow stunt double come in to advise on how to animate him. So, Ryan, when you saw Sea of Thieves pop up and you saw Captain Jack, what were your thoughts?
Well, Sean knows where I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to give you the hottest take I'm going to probably give you today.
Oh, no.
I don't like pirates at all.
What?
Like, if there's one aesthetic a game can have that will make me not care about it at all, it's pirates. So for me personally, I just don't care about Sea of Thieves. But at the same time, I agree with everything Sean said about it being a huge get and being kind of a huge validation for the Sea of Thieves community, because I know, again, it is a big game within the Xbox ecosystem, and I'm glad to see that Rare and Microsoft are really stuck with this game and kind of making sure that it gets the love it deserves. And it's awesome too that to see not one but two film crossovers. One we're going to get to a little bit later with Microsoft branded games, and both of them actually look pretty interesting. But at the same time, is this going to get me to reinstall Sea of Thieves? No. I mean, again, not for me, but I'm excited for other people being excited about this.
That's a great way to be right there. That is a great way to be. I personally am looking forward to this because, like I said, I haven't jumped into Sea of Thieves all that much, and so this is going to be not only a time for me to get really introduced to this game, but it's going to be a great time with my daughter. She's going to have a blast playing this. She's 13. She kind of dresses like a pirate, honestly. So, like she's always got her bandanas and she dyed her hair black, and so like I'm looking forward to it with her. It's going to be a lot of fun. So the next up on the list is Battlefield 2042. We got to see some of the gameplay, and Ryan, I'm going to start with you. Hopefully you like soldiers.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. According to the video here, I'm going off of we got an article opened up, but we did get the Yakuza stuff.
Yeah.
So this game, I'm just like, I'm so confused. I'm like, why are there lobsters?
As you should be.
Why is everybody in their underwear? And then what? Like, what? Honestly, what is? Do you guys play these games?
So Yakuza is a franchise. It's very, very weird. It's got this weird Japanese humor to it. It's basically taking this trying to take this crime story with the Japanese Yakuza, which are kind of like the mafia in Japan, and then kind of fusing it together with weird Japanese humor and tropes from other medium, almost think of the Shaolin Soccer-ified version of Casino. Just think of those two things go together, and that's kind of what Yakuza is all about. So yeah, I mean, I've talked about it with Sean because I was actually in the process of reviewing Yakuza, and I personally couldn't really get into the game. It was my first entry into the Yakuza games that I played because the Yakuza series has been going on forever. And as we saw with the trailer, where now the entire Yakuza saga is on Xbox on Game Pass with Like a Dragon joining today. But so I know it's a franchise that's hit or miss with a lot of people. Either you love this franchise or you don't. And it's going to come down to personal preference. I couldn't really get into it, but I know a lot of people that love Yakuza. So I think this definitely hit home. I will say, though, if you want to play any of these games, though, Like a Dragon's definitely the place to start. Even though it is the newest game in the series, it's actually telling a story with completely brand new characters. It's essentially a Japanese turn-based RPG, similar to something like Persona or Final Fantasy, but within modern day Japan with, again, members of the Yakuza. So I do think it's a great place to start for newcomers if you want to know if you're into this franchise. So I'm definitely glad to see it on Game Pass, because I think it'll put more eyes on it, and it'll probably give a lot of people who haven't tried the series before a great place to start.
Okay. I mean,
Game Pass today, by the way. It's available now. I'm downloading this
now.
And Ryan, you're right. Like, I haven't played the other one. I'm very intimidated by the fact that there's all these other Yakuza games. I'm like, that's too much for me. It's a little much. You guys just chill out with all these Yakuza games, more than a half dozen. Goodness gracious. But I will start here. Absolutely, I will start here. It is a contained story. I don't have all the time in the world to be playing games. I've always been intrigued by what's going on over here. I like Japanese style game inspired games. I like the wackiness about it. And on Game Pass, of course, like this was a very, they spent exactly the amount of time that they needed to on this. They didn't oversell it. It was Yakuza. We launched with it. It was a big deal when Xbox Series X and S launched last fall. It's something that people wanted to pay attention to. Now it's coming to Game Pass as added value to people. I'm literally downloading this game as we speak. So yes, please. Thank you so much.
And it's also notable for the fact that it was the one big game that was already out that is coming to Game Pass announcement that we got at this showcase. Because a lot of times from, like Xbox's showcase last year, we got a lot of Game Pass announcements of games that were coming to Game Pass that were already out. And I'm glad that at least they only had, one of these this time, which was
right. It was mostly day and date. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. It was mostly day and date stuff that isn't out yet. Yeah.
Some weird stuff. That's all.
We have to watch that video a couple times.
Yeah, that chicken, that shooting that egg. Like I don't know about
the
this,
best part is it gets way weirder than what was in that trailer. Just throwing it out there.
Awesome, great. So, Battlefield. What we're seeing right now, 2042. This is definitely up my alley. I love first-person shooters. Every time I've played a Battlefield game, I've had a good time with it, whether it's the older games or the Bad Company was also a lot of fun. This looks incredible. I mean, it just full scale war, like grappling hooks seem to be the thing in first person shooters right now. Let's go. Chief's got one. We're seeing it here. Ryan, do you like first person shooters, and do you like the Battlefield franchise?
I love your you're trying to wade into this a little bit, thinking I don't love games or something like that because I don't love pirates. To answer your question, I really like first person shooters. However, I'm definitely more of a single player shooter person. And when we got the reveal for Battlefield 2042, I was one of the people that was a little bit bummed that we weren't getting a single player campaign, mainly because I've actually really liked the campaigns for Battlefield. And it was the main reason for me actually picking up those games right away, was because I wanted to play the newest campaign, especially Battlefield 1 in particular was really strong with its campaign. So for me, it is a little bit of a tougher sell, but what I will say is what we saw in the showcase here looked pretty cool. In fact, it was very reminiscent to me of Battlefield 4 in specific, where that was kind of the last modern day Battlefield game that we got. And again, this stuff like that we're seeing right now on the video with them fighting on top of skyscrapers while fighting off helicopters and stuff. This is very reminiscent of, a match of Battlefield 4 combined with the fact that the Levolutions are back, which is essentially what you're seeing with the environment now, where the tornadoes coming in, or there'll be other weird and crazy environmental effects that'll definitely change the course of the map the longer you play it. So I definitely think this is kind of the spiritual successor to Battlefield 4 that a lot of people have been kind of waiting for since that game came out, because we went back in time with Battlefield, and now that we're back to present day, it's cool to kind of see a game that's like that again. However, is this probably a day one pickup for me? At the price it's at, combined with the fact that there's no single player, it's definitely a no. But I do love that there is a trial with Game Pass as part of EA Play, where you can play it for 10 hours to see if it is for you and if you're going to stick with it. So at least they're giving you a way to see, before making the jump in, if this is going to be for me and if it's worth the investment. So I think that what they showed looks cool in action, but there are some other external factors that's preventing me from wanting to pick it up. And again, this is, as to Sean's point, this is one of the 3 games you have to pay for outside of Game Pass. that we saw today. So
Yeah.
it's even a tougher sell, especially with Halo multiplayer being free and out this year.
I get it. I especially looking at this game, seeing how gorgeous it is,
Yeah.
the vehicles, the environments, and everything. I feel like the campaign, now maybe it wouldn't look this way if they had fed the focus on a campaign. Who knows? But I I feel like we're missing out on a campaign with with the grappling hook, with just the way. I mean, look at that. That's it's it's incredible. That sandstorm that's wild. And what are we gonna do? Like, we're gonna be, what's gonna happen at that point in the game when that sandstorm is just so thick? Like, are we gonna be using some kind of night vision tech or something like that you have to switch to in order to be able to keep going in the battle? Like, I'm very curious about this, and it just looks like full scale war. Sean, where are you sitting with Battlefield 2042?
What a showcase for this engine, man. Like, it's sensory overload completely. Everything, you're just like, we are talkers, all three of us here, and you just kind of look at that and you go like, I don't know what to say. Like, it's amazing the things that we kind of get caught up on. Not that I disagree with anything Ryan is bringing up. Yeah, it's $70 game and doesn't have single player stuff, but it's like, that is one of the best looking games we've seen this year. Like, full stop, bar none. That is absolutely incredible. And it's one thing that kind of gets overlooked, I always feel like, with Battlefield games and what DICE does. They make beautiful looking games, and this is gigantic. 128 people are playing in these like huge battlefields. All the vehicle stuff combined with the like boots on the ground combat, it looks really, really good. But yeah, Xbox is shifting our expectations here that we'll probably be playing games for day and date on Game Pass, or maybe a little bit later. But like, I kind of had my arms crossed on this as well, that it costs a lot. But how do I ignore this? Like, I haven't played a multiplayer game like this. This sandstorm is so intense. The tornadoes are really crazy. The scope and depth of the world, I think, is really interesting. The way that these tanks are getting flown in, and you take an elevator to the top floor, like the verticality of it is all there. I just think that this is such a good showcase, like a tech showcase of maybe this is what actually is possible. I'd like to see the side-by-side that I'm sure that we'll get from Digital Foundry when the game comes out, of this versus the PS4 version or Xbox One version next to the PS5 and the series versions. It'll be really interesting to see. But what they're showing us is just mayhem, absolute mayhem. So it's more about that 10-hour trial that Ryan mentioned. What does it actually play like? Because what I see is that it looks really good. Well, my experience with Battlefield games is quite often is I die, I respawn, I run back for 10 minutes to try to get back into the action, and then I'm not very good and I die. But I mean, shout out to all these moments that they had in the gameplay that were sort of highlighted in the CG trailer just a couple of days ago. The guy runs a ATV off a roof into a helicopter like that. You can do that in this game. It was a really good showing for Battlefield, I felt. But on a Game Pass show. So that's the only thing. Does it show as well on a different show? Maybe it shows even better, or is accepted as a $70 game a little bit better at a different show.
I feel like we may have to camp out on this for a second, because Game Pass is changing things.
Yeah.
Right? You're debating spending $70 on this game now. Now, if it had a campaign, does the $70 sting less for you?
Oh, of course it does. And that's kind of like the way that I've played these games in the past. And especially I've said it on the Xbox Drive in the past. I felt like Battlefield 1 and 5, I felt like the campaigns were very special. I felt like that was the thing that differentiated them from Call of Duty. And I just wonder if what we saw here, the mayhem, the giant battles that we saw, all the craziness, that like, does that push people towards Battlefield, where they're probably just going to default to Call of Duty? Like, that's just, I hate to even bring it up because it's almost cliche to talk about, but it's always going to be a Call of Duty versus Battlefield type of experience. And now they're both going to be, well, we actually don't know what Call of Duty is going to be this year, do we? We don't actually know if it's going to be a modern day shooter. They could go back and maybe do a World War I or World War II, or even Korean or something like that, Vietnam War or something like that. Maybe it is a little bit different, but it's hard not to look at Battlefield and wonder how many people are going to swap over or try this in addition to a Call of Duty, where Call of Duty already has the free-to-play Warzone game, and Halo has a free-to-play multiplayer. It's a different, it's even more than just Game Pass. Like the landscape for multiplayer games is changing, and it's tough. I feel for the people who poured their obvious heart, blood, sweat, and tears, and their soul, everything into this game because it looks great. I want to experience it because I want to see those visuals on my TV. It's one of those things that you go, Mom, like, people, come on over, friends, like, come on, like, I want to show you this game because it looks so good. And I'm sure it'll be great for us all to jump in together, right? We often look for games that have the opportunity for you to jump in with more than 4 people to play. Like, we're constantly looking for games for 8 people, parties of 10, parties of 12, more than that, to go in and play a multiplayer game. This could be that as well. So I still have questions. I'm not closed-minded to any of this stuff. I don't know. Maybe it sounds like I'm being negative on it. It was a strong showing. It looked really, really good from the CG trailer we got earlier this week. This was the first gameplay. I thought it was a good showing for Battlefield.
No, and I think to your point, Sean, I think the trial's really going to tell us a lot about this game.
Yeah.
And when we finally get it in our hands and finally play it, I think that's how we'll be able to tell if this game's going to have the legs it needs to keep going with it. Because obviously, if it's fun and our community's enjoying it, you better believe, I'll put money down for that, because having that experience with the community is definitely, I think, worth the price of admission. But obviously, I think it's a tougher sell if you're going to go play with the random people and not play with your friends.
Looking at this game screams polish already, right? Which this makes Warzone look last gen. It really, really does.
The best part is the little pre-alpha logo in the top left-hand corner of the video.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great point. And this harkens back to the old, like, the Unreal games, where it was like, oh, I'm buying just a multiplayer game. There is no campaign here. Turok even did it on the 64, where they just sold a multiplayer game, which was crazy because there's not even online, right? It was just a multiplayer game on the 64. I am also wondering if we aren't going to see this game go free to play shortly after its release, and then start a season pass, and then they give early adopters some kind of, like, 7 season passes or whatever until, like,
that is sadly the conversation that comes up with this game. I even feel bad even bringing it up. It almost seems too easy, seems too cliche, because you bring up an excellent point. And I was there for Unreal Tournament and Quake 3 Arena, like all there's a lot of tribes, Siege Tribes, Star Siege Tribes back in the day. A lot of multiplayer only games we paid full price for. It's not that that's the thing. I'm not looking necessarily for that, but it's hard to look at the landscape of games and not at least consider it. Or even a holiday sale, Black Friday sale type of thing. Because I think this game should be played. I think that's probably the best way that I can put it. Is this game looks like I need to experience. It is really what I want.
Well, and Rainbow Six has shown us that you can have a strictly multiplayer game, but it's constant new operators. It's a different, from the little bit that we're seeing here, I see it being a different beast, because the other thing Rainbow Six has is esports. And is that going to be something that's available with a game that is built to be such a large scale? What other modes are going to be available to us? And so Nightcrawler,
what a tough spot for EA. What a tough spot. I'm so sorry. What a tough spot for EA, because we've all been saying, don't monetize, like, all your don't have your gross monetization models in your games, and then we just want to buy a game and we'll play it, and then here they are with a $70 game, and we don't, like, people are having the reaction that they do to it. So a little bit strange. EA is always in a tough spot. I always feel a little bit for them on that front.
It is a little bit of a tough place. Crawler in chat says, one question I have with Battlefield: are these games going to be hour-long games? That doesn't make it super appealing as being able to jump in and get a game, and it becomes a time commitment, we're going to be ticking through if it's a typical Battlefield game, everybody's going to have each team has X amount of tickets, and then you start, they kind of just tick down. I am curious on how long some of these games are going to take. And I mean, you see games like Warzone versus Apex, where you've got these games that are an hour, 45 minutes to an hour versus Apex, which is like 30 minutes, and you're good to go. So we're also, as gamers right now, we're being conditioned for these different types of games when it comes to shooters. And this is a little bit old school. Halo's going to be a little bit old school from the look of things. I'm hoping that it shakes things up, and we don't, that, like, as much as I think a Halo BR would be awesome, and same with Battlefield, at the same time, I like that they're not just completely falling into line. And they're going to keep trying to give us some variety.
Just big scale games, whether it's a battle royale or this 128 players 64 versus 64 is sort of that end of the spectrum. And then the other thing that Call of Duty does, which I love, is like 2v2. Snappy, very quick, right? Or even 3v3. Like, I like those quite a lot to that point. I don't.
Halo 5 tried it also, right? And then it kind of like, you'd shoot off those ramps, and it was like, this is actually pretty cool.
It was good.
It didn't really take off. So
yeah, but nobody liked it. But October 22nd, 2021 for Battlefield. We'll see how people like it. We'll see how they respond to it later this fall.
Next up is 12 minutes. 12 minutes. It's got quite the cast, I must say. Like, quite the cast for voice actors. And this is the complete change of pace. Like, the show went from, like, shooters and well, Yakuza.
Yeah.
But then here you have this kind of like, and we've seen 12 minutes. We saw, I think if I remember correctly, we saw a longer trailer. Sean, where are you at on this game?
This game has the potential to, I think, be one of the most captivating and just eye-grabbing games of the entire year. Very unique in its storytelling. I was already in before they talked to us about the cast on this, which is great because they've kind of like wrapped this really cool concept. They've wrapped an amazing voice acting cast on top of it, because you're not going to be blown away by the visuals. Even the perspective might throw some people off. It's a top down. You're not getting really all that intimate with the characters, but what you're seeing is some startling occurrences and situations that play out with this. I had an opportunity to play it at E3 in 2019, a very early version of the game. And it's just like these guys are thinking way outside the box on this one, on how your exploration of the environment and your, like a trial and error kind of take on playing a game can have you progress through the storyline on this. So I feel like it didn't necessarily need a amazing all-star voice cast, because I was already in on that. But the fact that they've got that on top of what I think is a really original take on basically an adventure game, really, just has me peaked. And now the game is coming out. I've been wondering about this game for years and years and years. You got to have a shout out to these independent developers, because it looks like especially when we compare it to Battlefield, what a massive game that was, to a very small and contained experience like 12 minutes. But the attention to detail and how focused it seems is one of the things that has me really excited. And I love these games coming to Game Pass. James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, and Willem Dafoe are the cast in here, and I just think people are going to be really caught by what happens in this game. Some startling, some terrible, some sad, some horrific. Just things happen to the characters in 12 minutes from just what we've seen, and it's coming in this August. So I thought that was an appropriate amount. We don't need to see anything more. Just tell us it's coming, it's ready, it's Game Pass, day and date. So, and all the things. Xbox Series S, Series X, Xbox One, PC, just wherever you can get your Game Pass, you can play 12 minutes.
Ryan, where are you at with 12 minutes?
I'm just like Sean. I'm super hyped for this game. Pretty much ever since they showed us the first trailer, it seemed really unique to me. Like this unique premise of like this Groundhog Day where you're kind of trying to solve this mystery in this apartment, and you're not really exploring the world or going to different environments. You're essentially in this apartment building, and that's it. That's where the whole game takes place. So, and yeah, this was again well before the voice actor cast was kind of unveiled. I think it was last year. So yeah, I'm with Sean. Like I haven't had a chance to play it yet. Like Sean, I'm a little jealous of him, but at the same time, I'm glad that we've got a release date finally for this one because I mean we've been waiting for a release date for this one forever. And I mean every year for the last couple of years, people have been saying, "All right, 12 minutes, we're getting the release date this year at E3." So I'm glad that we're finally at the point where we have a release date. And August is a great time, I think, for that game to come out. So yeah, I'm excited for it as well.
Well, moving right along, we've got the new Psychonauts 2 trailer. And this game looks super weird also. Sean, you just laughed right there.
Like, I'm laughing at you. Like, you're trying to like lead us off on how do you describe this game? Like, this is a video game. It looks like
it's a game about diving into people's brains. Of course it's weird.
yeah. So it's not a series I've not spent any time with. So Sean, have you played the first and are you looking forward to the second?
Ryan is much more versed in the Psychonauts. I played maybe the first hour and a half. What I'm glad to see from this reveal is kind of what I hoped for with the merging or acquisition of Double Fine with Xbox is that this looks like Double Fine's creativity with a couple $1 million thrown at it, like a lot of ability to explore, a lot of good production value behind it. It seems to get a little bit closer to not necessarily like Pixar, but almost like an Illumination kind of like just wacky art style to it, really deep and varied in its gameplay styles, a lot of good storytelling. But I just want to wonder, it's almost like a Dr. Seuss kind of tale come to life. And I'm enjoying my early goings with Psychonauts 1 in that I wasn't expecting as strong a platformer as I'm seeing with that in the first game. And I'm kind of just hoping that they take it to the next level. My biggest kind of criticism or worry, I guess, when Xbox acquired Double Fine was I never felt like those games really felt very good to me. I never felt like when I played, like was it Costume Quest was one of them by Double Fine? Like I never felt like those games really, like Brutal Legend, as much as I love, like you'd always feel like something's just a little bit off. And I want this game to be as strong as something like a Ratchet and Clank, which I don't think this one will be, but I want them to have that first party, weird, artistic platformer that just feels good to jump around in and explore and just kind of have a good time. This looks like just throw your cares to the outside world. You just jump in and forget about everything. Ryan, you're much more versed in Psychonauts, but I'm happy with what I saw here, and we're getting a release date this summer.
Yeah. So much to your point, Sean, like Psychonauts, of course, was a game on the original Xbox as well as the PS2. And it was a really strong third-person platforming game from Tim Schafer and Double Fine. And I loved it back in the day. In fact, for those that don't really remember when we're playing games as much during that time frame, Psychonauts was actually a Game of the Year contender, like a heavy favorite at a lot of outlets that year. So I think a lot of people have been sleeping on this one because I don't think it's necessarily, from what we've seen of it so far, probably going to hit the heights of the original game. But I remember just how much I enjoyed playing the first game with its great third-person platforming, as well as the great humor from Tim Schafer and the team at Double Fine. Yes, it's a bit weird and definitely not, your standard game. Again, it's all about Raz. The first game anyways was about Raz going to this training camp, which was essentially like a summer camp that he would go to basically learn how to become a psychonaut, which allowed him to basically go into people's brains and kind of, fix their problems. And of course, each time you go into a person's brain, it reflects their personality and kind of what issues they have going on. And so sometimes you'll be in a war zone, while at other times you'll be in these like weird, like psychedelic dream kind of places. So it's a really interesting game, the original Psychonauts. And from what we've seen with this trailer, it seems even more wacky than the first game. So I am very excited about this one. And I'm hopeful that Tim and the rest of the team have been able to pull through with this game. And I'm glad too that so many more people are going to get a chance to maybe try out Psychonauts, because it's a game that didn't actually perform very well as far as sales were concerned back in the day. It was along with Beyond Good and Evil, because they came out kind of in separate years, but pretty close to each other, being games that were almost like cult classics, where they were games that people loved critically, but just didn't sell at all to save their lives. So yeah, I'm excited to see Psychonauts back. and I can't wait to play this one in August.
I do hope that there's like a really good marketing push for this one, and that it gives a lot of people a reason to check this game out. Because again, if they're gamers like me, where it's like, shooters, fighters, racing games, that kind of, I don't see a lot of appeal here. And so I'm hoping that there's something that really will pull me in, and I hope they market it really well, and that even if it doesn't pull me in, that it does very well. And I think the inclusion with Game Pass of this game is a perfect game to allow people to jump in without having that risk of like, it's $70 or $60, whatever it might come out at, that I don't have to worry about.
Well, actually, I think it's a cheaper price. I think it's like $30 or $40 if I'm not mistaken. So it's definitely cheaper. It's not a full price game.
And I feel like this might be a conversation for another day, but sometimes I feel like it's more than even the dollars. Many of us are gainfully employed. We can buy games as we see them, but it's like just how easy it is. It's just right there. It's less about the dollars, but you click the button and you download it. Yep. I think might be the maybe unspoken real victory with Game Pass. It's just that it's basically there. You just got to download it. The money is obviously consideration. Not everybody can buy every single game. That's obviously not, I can't buy every single game. I just think that there's something to be said about it's basically like changing the channel. When you have a cable subscription, you're like, well, I'll just go watch MTV now instead of this thing. I'll just go try this out. It's just that much easier. It's the gap that people have to leap across is so much smaller, so much easier to get into these games. That's the Game Pass thing. You're not even thinking about it anymore.
You're absolutely right. That is the case. And we got a bunch more games heading to Game Pass.
Let's do it.
Even today, right?
Yep.
It looks like Bethesda is going to be sharing a few more games.
One or two games. Not that many.
Just one or two. And then we get to see Doom Eternal looking as gorgeous as ever. I've been playing that game currently, having a great time with it. And what is it, just a couple weeks we're actually going to see these upgrades, or later this week. I can't remember the exact date, but 10 more games today. Right? Look, I mean, what a great collection.
Bring that screen up. Let's hang on that screen for a second, because there's a bunch there. One of my predictions was that we would have seen the original Fallout games get a remaster. And while I'm not trying to claim points on this one, we are seeing Fallout 1 and 2 and 3. Tactics. Fallout Tactics. Holy crap, man. These games coming out on Game Pass for PC, all basically filling out the rest of the catalog. I feel like I don't know if there's really anything getting missed here, but a huge gap being filled here on all the rest of the systems too. The graphic here says play 30 iconic Bethesda games here. I don't know if there's Doom Eternal is definitely a call out for me if we want to kind of go through here, and Evil Within 1 and 2 now being completed as a set. A huge call out for me as well. And I want to see Fallout 3 get a little bit of that FPS boost. I don't know if that's implied here, if that's going to come later, but I'm excited to go back to DC. I don't know what it was about Fallout 3 over Fallout 4, but that's the one that maybe it's just because that's the one that got me into Fallout. That was my first Fallout game. And that was a very, very special experience for me. But yeah, a very short amount of time spent on games coming to Game Pass, at least in this sort of no montage, no nothing like that. It's a bit of a screenshot, but these are some of the highlights for me of just a bunch of games coming to Game Pass, as they should.
Like Chad is saying, but they're old games.
Yeah,
game is old, I heard.
No.
Also, I'm going to burst Sean's bubble a little bit on Fallout 3. I mean, we don't actually have SPS boosts for 360 games yet. So unfortunately, that one's probably not going to get a FPS boost anytime soon. Maybe that'll be in the camp of the when they first announce the first set of Xbox 360 FPS boost games. But currently, they're only doing FPS boost for Xbox One titles. So unfortunately, we won't see that anytime soon.
You're right. But there is also something to be said about the enhanced for One X things that we would see from 360 to the One X kind of thing. So yeah, maybe not full on FPS boost, but it did seem to get some enhancements anyways, just going from 360 into the more advanced kind of element of back compat.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What they showcased right there, the 10 years of Skyrim, and then I don't feel like they really said anything. They were just like, join us. And we were like, for what? Like playing
It
this
could
on
literally
our
be anything.
fridge? Like playing this on our Xbox fridge? Like what is it?
The best part about it is that they actually did the Skyrim expansion for Elder Scrolls Online last year, and then this year is all about Oblivion. So you can't even tie it into that either. So you got nothing for it. You got nothing for 10 years of Skyrim.
That's okay. We've had enough Skyrim. That's fine. We know what it is. There's nothing new to talk about. It is weird that they would show it and not have anything to say about it, but I feel like maybe if nothing else, it's just another one of those, what does Bethesda and Xbox mean together? It includes Skyrim. Just in case you missed it, Skyrim also is included in Bethesda. It's also part of this whole package deal that you get now on Game Pass.
Guess who grabbed his backbone and played some Skyrim last night before he went to bed?
Ryan Turford. Oh, no.
Guilty.
There's too many pirates in Skyrim, Sean.
So here we're seeing Fallout 76 getting some love. I'll be honest, this game has fallen so far off my radar, I didn't even know it was still supported, and I'm being completely honest.
Gotta give a shout out to these guys for continuing on the support, because I feel like this is more of like a reputational type of thing to continue to support this, that they would launch a game like this in the shape that it was in and to not give up on it, I think is less of an investment on Fallout 76, the game itself, and more of an investment on the future titles that they're going to release, if that makes sense. Like they kind of had to maintain at the very least confidence in that when Bethesda releases a game that you can jump in without really worrying if it's going to have support down the line. Like there's no doubt, if that was ever part of the consideration, that's not it. And it seems like they've learned from, launching a game in the state that Fallout 76 was in. Big thing that's missing for me that we'll probably continue to be missing out on for the entirety of its existence is crossplay. I'd love to be able to play that game with PC players and with PlayStation players. My wife has it on PlayStation 4 and she prefers to play on PS4. And I would like to play with her, but I want to play on my Series X. So I would like to see that come to pass, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. But I am intrigued by it. I like the world of Fallout. When they launched the game, the concept, the premise of it seems to work for me. So if there are people out there, I was saying this on the stream, if there are people out there who want to play Fallout 76, I could carve out time for it, man. I could find it, I think.
Ryan, is this a series that you're a fan of?
I like Fallout, but I did not enjoy my time with Fallout 76. And it's not so much the bugs or any problems with Fallout 76, but I don't really love the live service model that they kind of employed with this game. So for me personally, it's not a game that I will ever see myself reinstalling, but I am glad that people are enjoying it. And I'm glad that there's a community there. And just like what we talked about Sea of Thieves, even though it's not a game for me personally, I love seeing that Microsoft is sticking and Bethesda are sticking with it and making sure that to grow that community, and as they grow it along with it, to kind of employ changes that the community is asking for. So it's cool to see that it's still around and they've got some cool announcements for it, but it doesn't do anything for me personally, obviously.
Honestly, watching the trailer has me more intrigued than I ever have been.
Yeah.
And it might be something that I try. At the same time, there's just so much.
Yeah, I know.
There's too many games.
So much. And when these games is a service where you're leveling up and you got to grind, it's like I want to play Destiny again, but trying to go back to that, it's like, okay, I'm not going to play anything else. And it's that's tough to do. So, but it does look good. And I love what you guys are saying too, about just the way that the team has stuck with it. They've continued to support this game and to improve on this game. And from the sounds of it, I mean, he said something like 18 million players or something like that.
People play it.
It was a large number. So, I mean, that's great. I love hearing that. And that there's a community there, and look, it's a free update for people. So that's also just really good. I'm not going to lie. When this kicked off right here, I thought we were going to see something Wolfenstein. That's what I thought this was.
This next one.
I thought we had transitioned out of Fallout and we were now into into Wolfenstein, and I was wrong, and that's okay. That's okay. But I know there were a handful of people like on the Xbox Factor podcast that were really hoping that we were going to see Wolfenstein 3.
And nothing from id, nothing from Machine Games, really nothing out of that crew. I was hoping for a Quake, something out of there. But you're right, this was more Fallout. I actually thought we were jumping to, it could have been Wolfenstein. I thought it was more of like a Call of Duty type of deal. Like they had a couple call outs there, like Delta Squadron, like we're down. Like it felt very generic. I don't have a whole lot of connection to the Pit or Pittsburgh as a location within the Fallout universe. That's not really where I'm at.
It was only featured in one DLC pack for Fallout 3. So if you didn't play that DLC, you probably wouldn't have much to say about it. I mean, that DLC was pretty cool though. It was called The Pit, where you went to Pittsburgh. But for the most part, if you didn't play that, it's just like, cool. It's in Boston.
Those people are happy.
Or Pittsburgh, sorry. No, I don't know why I said Boston.
Elder Scrolls Online, we're seeing where it's getting the update on the Series X and S. Ryan, is this a game that you spend much time with?
Now, Sean knows I play a lot of MMOs. I play a lot of MMOs, but I don't really play a lot of Elder Scrolls Online. I think it's a fine game. I think it's a game for people that aren't really into MMOs. I think it's actually a good place to start with them because it doesn't really play like other MMOs like Final Fantasy 14 or World of Warcraft. It very much plays like an Elder Scrolls game, but with some tweaks to the gameplay that make it a little bit slower to play than your typical Elder Scrolls experience like in Skyrim or something like that. I think it's fun. It's the type of thing where it's not my personal choice when it comes to MMORPGs, but it's cool to see the Series X upgrade there because this was actually supposed to come out with the expansion that came out last week, but it actually ended up getting delayed until next week. So it's cool to see that it's going to get closer to the PC version because visually the console version has been lagging behind the PC version by quite a bit for the last couple expansions. So it's cool to see some more parity there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, Ryan kind of hit it on the head. I'm not into MMOs a lot. If this is a game that's sort of entry for people who are like me, then I'm kind of interested in that. I'm more and more, Josh, like looking for games that are available to a lot of people, a lot of our friends who we can just kind of like jump in and hang out a lot together. It could be Halo, it could be Fallout 76, it could be Elder Scrolls. Like I'm kind of in for that. So if this is easy to get into, then yeah, man, I'll go fight some dorky elves or whatever the heck you dragons and stuff and Elder Scrolls. And the other thing too is my general perception of those games is that they run poorly. So seeing it updated for Series S and X is appealing to me because I don't want to play a game, even if it is with 12, even if it's like a massive world that we can have all these thousands of stories that we play. If it runs like crap, it kind of like has me not so interested. So yeah, I mean, I guess, yes. Chat saying Pirate Slave for Sea of Thieves is about that as well. And yeah, I could be convinced. So it's just a matter of getting the right people at the right time playing it. And they're all open options to me. It's maybe a bit of a theme to the, if there is one to the Xbox presentation today, is there's a lot of games you can play with a lot of your friends and you don't have to buy it. They don't have to buy it. You all have the access to the same games all at the same time.
Including party animals.
What even is this? What is this? Is it a battle royale game? Is it like a fighting game? Is it
nobody knows? That's the thing, Sean.
It's cute as hell.
Doing this game.
It's out on Steam, and it looks like chaos, and like it looks like Goat Simulator multiplayer with stuffed animals, like.
Gives me Fall Guys vibes as well, like the floppiness of the characters, like the controls might be a little bit working against you a little bit.
He just comes in and just lights him up and steals the mic, like talking about games that
throws him into the cold.
Yeah, there's a
the train going somehow, Sean.
Nightcrawler saying it's a party game. Captain Logan, humans fall flat makes a Fall Guys fighter, like. It just looks like a goofy, good time, and I'm curious how many people can play it. What you know, and it. I mean, good on Xbox for getting a title like this that we can play.
I just want to know more
with the community, and then we saw Hades.
Yep.
And Sean, were you surprised to see this title? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, this is one that Ryan talked me out of expecting to come to Game Pass. I actually did buy it on PC because we don't see this developer come to Xbox very much at all. What was the last one? Bastion, Ryan? That was the last time that we saw?
Well, it's their only game that's come to Xbox is Bastion.
The one and only.
like Transistor or Pyre didn't come to Xbox. So this
Mm-hmm.
is the second time they've come to Xbox. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting it either. Like, I was like, you know what, I'm going to hold off on picking up Hades because it's a roguelike. I'm not really hugely into roguelikes, but maybe it'll come to Xbox and come to Game Pass at one point, especially after we saw that image from Twitch earlier this year where it had where it was one of the earlier Xbox showcases that happened to just have the teaser image for Hades in there. Right. I was like, no, maybe I should hold off on playing this game anywhere else before then, because I was like, I think that's going to convince me that it's probably to come at some point. So yeah, I'm also kind of surprised to see it here, but not insanely surprised because again, it's weird to see Supergiant kind of come to Xbox, but I am glad to see it here because it's a game that I know a lot of people love. Again, I still haven't played it yet, so I'm excited to try it out, and it's on Game Pass, so I don't even have to consider picking it up or buying it again. It'll be right there when it launches on Xbox in August.
Very exciting. I'm looking forward to trying it. I've had so many people tell me to get it on the Switch, and now I can try it on Game Pass, and I get achievements out of it. So that really
that's
makes
the best
me
part.
happy. Yeah, that is the best part. So as we continue moving forward, I believe next up on the agenda here is Halo.
Oh, this little game.
Just this little game that, you know, a few of us have kind of been excited for, not you know, not that excited for, but yeah, Halo. Well, at least according to our notes, it looks like I'm going to be thrown off again by the actual video. So what is it that we're actually seeing here? This is the
I think this is Somerville.
Okay, they have it out of order on our notes here. That's why I skipped this one. So this falls in line with those. For me, is like it kind of gave me some of the oh my
Inside.
mind.
I thought this was Inside,
yes,
Limbo. I thought this was
Limbo.
Playdead.
That's exactly it. So kind of it looks pretty cool. What's interesting is I had a friend buy me Inside, and I had never played that series before, and nor would I. And then he was like, please just try this. And wow, I'm so glad that I did. And this game, I mean, it looks creepy. It looks kind of intense, and I'm glad we get to try it. I'm on Game Pass. You know, this one might be hard to get through in an emotionally heavy and like the what it is showing us is really like it's a family kind of trying to just survive. There's not really any combat in here, so I assume that there's some sort of like environmental puzzle solving, or like how do we get to the next spot? How do we make sure that we escape whatever is attacking us? It seems like there's some sort of alien invasion. There's a cute kid and there's a cute dog, and it's a family. So from that perspective, even as outrageous as it seems like the game is, very relatable on that front. Like you're just trying to survive. You're trying to just stay one step ahead of the lasers that are coming across. And it's not as, you know, as intense as like The Last of Us or something like that. But I like the look of this. We got such a wide variety of games. I'm sure we're going to get to Halo in just a second here. But where a game like this can stand out as, ooh, this is catching my attention, I think is really special on the Xbox stage. But Ryan, what were your takes on this one?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I thought this was cool to see on the Xbox stage again. Very different from all the other games we were seeing. Just a really unique looking game, and just like you guys said, very reminiscent of Playdead stuff. Which Nightcrawler in the chat points out that a former Playdead developer made this game. So
yeah, makes
perfect sense when you're looking at it at the gameplay. Where it's again probably going to be some light puzzle solving with some exploration and just running in a straight line, which I think is going to be fun. And yeah, it's going to probably tell a really sad story. I mean, you can definitely tell not good things are going to happen to this family.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if I can deal with that. So yeah, I'm interested to learn more when that comes out later.
Change in perspective too. I'm kind of noticing as we're watching the video too, a lot of like left to right, right to left, like isometric view, a little bit of 3D, like front to back. Like it's definitely not as, I don't want to say simple because that downplays what Inside was, but a little bit more just playing with the environment. It's not 100% left to right like we saw with like a Limbo or Inside. So yeah, I'm with you, Ryan. Looking forward to Somerville. 2022 is when this game's coming out.
Yeah.
So if the notes are right,
what's going to be next?
I think this is Halo coming up. There we go.
The game.
So, Ryan,
mm-hmm.
Start us off here. What were your thoughts seeing we got to see a little bit more of the ring, and then we got to see Chief kind of like working his way through space and all the debris, and then it transitioned over into the multiplayer. So I've had a few different conversations with people on Twitter that they were really hoping for more gameplay and less just CG stuff. Where are you at?
Yeah, I mean, my takeaway from this was I wish they would have shown us maybe a return to that open world, or even maybe returning to the same environment that we maybe saw in the very first showing of Halo Infinite, and kind of showing us how it's progressed since the last time. But at the same time, I actually really liked what they showed for this game. Not only that, but it definitely looked noticeably better this time around. Like it definitely showed a much better. Obviously, this is without us, going back and nitpicking things. And I'm kind of with Sean when we first talked about Halo Infinite. I was one of the people who, when they were showing the game in motion, I actually kind of liked what we saw of the game.
Yeah.
We first liked it. It wasn't until after people started taking screenshots of the game and then zooming in on stuff that it started to show kind of all the flaws with it. So in motion, it was already a game that I thought looked really good. But the big takeaway from this showcase that we saw for Halo was the multiplayer, and the gameplay from the multiplayer, I think, looked pretty impressive, especially from what we've experienced. Because for those that don't know, Sean and I, with our community over on the Xbox Drive, we actually do a Halo Saturday night where we go and play Master Chief Collection or Halo 5 with the community every single Saturday night. So we're playing Halo every single week, multiplayer, and getting to see just how they've evolved the multiplayer with the addition of the grappling hook, and kind of how that plays into things. For example, being able to grapple onto like a wasp or a banshee and then be able to hijack it in midair. For example, I think that's a game changer. Or even just how fast the movement was, how fast it looked like you were zipping around the map in the multiplayer. It felt like a huge difference versus us, playing Halo 2 last night, literally the night before that we got the presentation for Halo. So I think the multiplayer looked really impressive. And after the showcase, they also confirmed that we're going to be getting more Halo stuff throughout the course of the week. A lot of its focus is going to be on multiplayer. Like, we're going to get even more multiplayer gameplay shown for the game tomorrow. This was all over on the Halo Waypoint website. So you can definitely go check out the blog post there for more info as far as when we're going to see all that stuff. But I thought, that's really interesting. Also, and Sean tweeted this hot take after this presentation was over that, new Cortana is better than old Cortana. I don't know if I'm ready to write off Jen Taylor just yet, because I love classic Cortana, but I do love the new AI that we've got here. And I don't think we got her name, so I don't know what to call her. So other than new Cortana, I guess. So we'll stick with that for now. But I thought she was a really interesting character as well. So yeah, I'm just excited to see more of this game.
I think that's an interesting way for them to expand the world, that there can be more AIs with this that help Master Chief. I thought she just had a cute kind of way about her. Like, I thought something was supposed to happen, but I guess I'm here. Like, the way she kind of just interfaced with Master Chief in here was a little bit of a surprise, because I was going into this thing thinking I was only going to get multiplayer. I almost could have seen them just getting a whole bunch of influencers playing multiplayer going, oh my gosh, this is amazing and crazy and stuff. And we got a little bit more of, what are we gonna what is the weight of the story gonna be with Halo? I was happy with this, but I understand that people are gonna be disappointed. We didn't get a date. We didn't get really too much in the way of details on that front. But I think that it looked pretty good for me, Josh.
Let it cook as long as it needs to.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
If the campaign needs to wait until next year and multiplayer drops, hey, I'm totally on board with that and okay with it. I hope. That new AI was just fine. But man, we got to I hope they somehow figure out a way to get Chief and Cortana back, because it's just that is such a that's the duo. You know what I mean? Like that's the duo. And so I hope there's a way that the story leads to that. But you heard you heard Jen Taylor, you heard Cortana, and then it was just for a split second though. There was just a couple lines, and then it switched. So little bit interesting. We're looking at the multiplayer right now. I'm looking at a screenshot for Halo Infinite Multiplayer Insider off of the Xbox website. That this was supposed to launch today, and the date says June 13th.
What do you mean?
And it got pulled, so it's not, the beta wasn't quite ready. Not the like there's this screenshot that I'm looking at. It says welcome to the Halo Infinite Multiplayer Insider Program. Like and it's
maybe they pulled it back.
It's from a reputable source as well. It's not just something I grabbed off of like Reddit or something. So
it's also possible too, because again, like I mentioned, they're showing off more of the multiplayer and going to details about it with more multiplayer announcements tomorrow on youtube.com/Halo. They mentioned that on the blog post. So it's possible that maybe that image might have leaked like a day or two too early. Like maybe we're going to hear more information as to when that date's going to be within the next day or two.
I mean, with the delay and the fact that they're putting, all the extra hours and resources into this thing, you have to imagine that it's the same reason we didn't get a release date on this. Every milestone is like game time decision, like it could be today, it could be 3 days from now. Like everything is just going to be day by day at this point. I can imagine when they delay the game for about a year, they bought themselves 300 or so days to get more and more done. And it's got to be under such a tight watch because all eyes are on it. But oddly enough, like my kind of takeaway in terms of like why they didn't give us any more of this is they don't at this point have anything more to prove. They don't have consoles to sell us, right? So they don't need a Halo to push consoles out the door. They're already kind of maxed out on that front. And the game isn't going to cost people anything anyways, even if, especially on the multiplayer front. You can play it free to play. So what I think is going to happen is that beta will hit, and that's when the word of mouth on this is really going to hit. It's not going to be them telling us that Halo is a big deal. It'll be us telling us that Halo is a big deal and it feels good to play and that it runs great and it's fun, all those things. All the things that are really hard to portray in a show like this. You can see like grappling hooks, that looks cool. The weapons look great. I think the lighting and everything looks really dynamic. I think that is something that they definitely addressed. It looks really good, but this game needs to be played. So that's kind of why I'm not like upset that they didn't give us any more, because they could have told me all the things I want to know, but I would still have what does it play like? How does it feel? All of those type of questions.
Mm-hmm. Does this look to you guys like more of a classic Halo? I feel like when I watch this trailer, I'm picking up some Reach vibes from the way the Spartans look and the way that their movement is. And not, I mean, Reach, I love the way it looked and everything. The DMR was one of those weapons that I was just kind of like, I don't know if I love this thing or not, with dealing with the bloom, but this doesn't look like the shiny Guardians Everywhere Halo 5.
Right.
This looks like we've all been in the trenches for a while. We're dirty. And this is the highlight for me right here. This is what Halo 5 lacked.
Capture the flag.
That was jumping into a warthog and having the other team 4v4. I don't know what that mode was exactly, but like Halo 5, I mean, it had capture the flag, but in 4v4, there wasn't much for vehicles. It was pretty much like, let's just sweat to the oldies all day long, boots on the ground.
Nice.
And that's, if that is an indicator of asymmetrical maps with vehicles similar to, what was it called? The name just escaped me, but Zanzibar, right? Yeah. And some of those old school maps, if we get that, that's going to be a huge win. With Halo for me.
Yeah, more to see. And it's sort of like a Nintendo style of doing that, isn't it, Ryan? With almost like a treehouse type of deal where there's more to see for those who want to dive in. And maybe that's just what it took to keep this show rolling, getting us onto the next thing without hanging on really any one thing for too long. Because they really gave us a lot of 30 games within 90 minutes. That's tough to do, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
It would have been at the compensation of other games getting less. Like you would have gotten more Halo, but maybe you get not as much of this Diablo game that we're seeing here too.
Yeah, and Thursday the 17th, Paris is going to be hosting a Xbox Game Showcase Extended, and this
Oh, that's
is with
awesome.
Double Fine, Obsidian, Ninja Theory, Rare, and dev partners from around the world.
Oh, good for him. That's awesome.
So that's great. I mean, awesome to hear that he's doing that. But we're also going to get more info on some of these games, and so a lot of cool stuff coming.
E3 extended, I like it.
It's a treehouse thing, right? It's kind of like you said, like the Nintendo thing. So we're looking at Diablo, the remaster of Diablo 2. This is a Diablo 3 on the Switch. Is my first introduction to the Diablo series. So,
Josh.
No.
Oh, Josh.
My God.
Diablo 2 is special. Diablo 2 is a very, very special game, and just the look of it, it's so great that they did polish the graphics up. But Ryan can speak more eloquently to this, I think, than I can. But I would just kind of call out the fact that Blizzard did such a wonderful job of maintaining the grittiness and the darkness that Diablo 2 really has. It was like this game came out originally when I was a bit of a young man, and it was terrifying to me. Like very hellish, like the depths of hell, very demonic look to it. Whereas Diablo 3, and especially on Switch, where the visuals were kind of downgraded a little bit, a little too shiny, a little too arcadey. But Diablo 3 was like, you are going to hell. You are going to experience what comes out of the bowels of hell. And I think that is great. It looks really good. 8-player co-op is what I'm here for. But Ryan, man, like, take it away, man. I
love how you said, Sean, that it's like you're going to hell. Sean, in Diablo 2, you literally go to hell in that game.
That's what I'm like
to
going
fight
to hell.
Diablo. So it's just like where there's just fire everywhere. So yeah, I mean, Diablo 2, again, very special game. I've been playing the Diablo game since the original Diablo on PC. It was one of my very first CD-ROM PC games I got back in the day. And it was really special to see Diablo 2 finally come back. In fact, with this trailer, we actually got a preview of what some of the cinematics look like as well, because I could tell from the very first shot of like the dude in the white cloak kind of going into the prison for the first time. I'm like, yep, that's Diablo, because it's from a very memorable cutscene from the original game. So it was really cool to see some of that element work into it, and then the gameplay. It looks like it sings on the Series X. Or the Xbox One. And I love too the ability to switch between both the original graphics and the new graphics, because the old graphics look very silly today, but you can totally play it that way if you want to. If you want to play the whole game that way, or mix and match, or do whatever you want to do. Also, what's nice about Diablo 2, and again, this calls back to it being a PC game first, was the fact that it has 8-player co-op, and Diablo 3 only had 4-player co-op on consoles, because it wasn't really, built with a massive player count in mind. Whereas Diablo 2, one of the coolest thing about it was you could have a large group of friends play it, because it supported 8 players, because it had enough character classes and stuff to kind of support that. So between that and the return to the Gothic look and architecture of Diablo, I am so stoked for Diablo 2 Resurrected, and I can't wait to play this game again.
September.
It's so good.
It looks great, honestly. Like I'm fairly excited, thinking about the opportunity to finally get to play this game, especially because, again, I hear so many people talk about it so highly. Like they really, really enjoy this series. So
we'll have to get you in on it, Josh.
I'm all about it. I loved what I played of 3. I thought it was great. Like what a grind fest, but like still just a
little more involved, I would say. Hey, Ryan, like a little bit more, like you got to manage your inventory a little bit differently. Like it's not quite as, it takes that step back. And it seems like Diablo 2 Resurrected is going to maintain a lot of those quality of life that was, the standard back when that game came out. But it's more of a visual upgrade than anything else.
Yeah, especially because it's essentially going to be replacing the original game on PC, because the original game has been available on PC on Battle.net for the longest time. So it's kind of
that's pretty typical
to be a replacement for it. It's similar to what they did with StarCraft when they did kind of the remastered version of StarCraft 1.
Yeah.
Back a little while ago, a few years ago.
We're looking at Plague Tale sequel right now, Requiem, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that correct? And I mean, just this was one of the games that like kind of knocked my socks off when we saw it. Like it looks beautiful. Just go. I mean, look at that. Look at that. That's like, I was like, what am I seeing right now? You know, and is this Ryan, is this a series that you are familiar with?
I didn't actually play it the first game. I mean, there's only just a Plague Tale Innocence, which is on Game Pass now, so anyone could actually go check it out. But I never really played this one. I missed it when it came out. I heard really great things about it. Again, it has a great like artistic look to the game and style to it, which you kind of have been seeing kind of a little bit in this trailer. And it's more just a narrative focused game with some light puzzles and stuff like that. Almost similar to what we were talking about with Somerville a little while ago, but more into like a 3D space. But yeah, I don't really know too much about it. Again, I didn't play the original, but again, I've heard great things. So maybe it's time to play the original before the next one comes out. We'll see though. There's a lot of games.
This, I mean, and if I'm being honest, they kind of makes me hope Fable looks something like this. You know what I'm saying? Like that would just kind of blow my mind if Fable looked like this. And Sean, you got some noise coming through. I'm not sure what that is, but oh, there, no, there's just a little bit. There you go. It's gone now.
That's because I'm hitting mute.
Oh, uh-oh. It sounds like you're in a wind tunnel or something. Like I'm not quite sure. Almost like it was maybe, yeah, I don't know.
When I'm taking care of it, I'm pressing the mute button off. Is that better?
Yeah, it's almost gone now. Yep, you're in much better shape.
Didn't even change anything. Sweet,
yeah,
cool.
Got it.
Okay.
Gotta love technology. We're doing it live. We're
doing
doing it live. So, here we go. The following footage has been captured 4K 60 with the Xbox, and it's the whole time during this trailer, all I was saying was, I need more Triso. I just want to see more of Triso, my little the puppy with wheels. You know, bring him back on the screen. And we only saw him for a second here, but again, this game seems to showcase pretty well. Sean, where are you at with the series? Do you feel like it's had long enough wait that we can get back into it again, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Far Cry is a Sean Capri ass game. I really liked 5. I liked what they did with the Seed family, and what was it, New Dawn afterwards? I thought it was really good. I'm here for this game as well. I think it looks really good. I think the setting is excellent. The villain is it kind of has me, and I thought it showed well at Ubisoft very well yesterday as well, with the season pass, and you can play as the villains. I'm kind of done on this one. I don't need to be sold anymore. Just let me play it. I'm here for Far Cry. I think it's great. The only thing I would say is that I'm nervous about all the games coming out this fall. This is being put in a very busy time of the year. I could see where maybe people might come in on this and go like, what exactly is the tone on it? Because it is like almost over the top Far Cry, but also very serious. It's that line that they walk all the time where they've got these very psychotic villains, and you can do ridiculous things like what you're doing with this cute little puppy dog, or, you know, just blowing shit up. It's that wacky, crazy stuff. Was it a rooster that you have people attacking people
rooster
with?
Yeah.
Very strange. But then you've got, one of the most iconic modern actors of our time in the villain role here. So I'm excited. I want to play it. They didn't need to sell me more on this. I was actually surprised to see that it was going to get more time on Xbox's stage. I almost expected it to come to Game Pass as a bit of a giant mic drop kind of moment. But yeah, Far Cry, I'm here for it, man. I've been here for it since they teased it last year, and we thought it was coming earlier in 2021.
Okay, wait. This one's not coming to Game Pass.
Nope.
But is Diablo 2 then?
Nope. The 3 that are Battlefield, Far Cry, and Diablo are the 3 that are not coming to Game Pass. Those are the only 3 of the 30 games that we saw. Those are the only 3 that are not coming to Game Pass. Everything else day and date on Game Pass.
I will say this about Far Cry. I wasn't all that sold on it after seing that trailer. I'm all in.
You needed a rooster.
It may even be a day one.
Did need the rooster.
You needed the rooster.
I did. So Slime Rancher is what we're looking at now. And again, let Xbox get weird right? Like let's get some weird games on there. Ryan, what did you think about this one? This is not I feel like I've seen Slime Rancher before, or heard this title before, right? This isn't the first game in this series, or is it?
I got nothing for Slime Rancher.
Yeah, same here.
Nothing
It is
about
definitely a
this game.
sequel.
It looks weird. We know it's a sequel. That's pretty much all I got to say about this one. It's it's something. I don't know if it's a game that I really want to check out, but it's on Game Pass, so you never know.
Yeah, same here.
I'm right there with you. I'm curious about the gameplay itself. Like it looked like you were trying to like collect these things, but for what reason? You know, a wiggly new adventure.
Why are you ranching the slimes? You know? Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a family business, man. You're raised on a slime ranch.
My God, it's too much.
Raised on a slime ranch. This is probably one of the most surprising titles right here. I never thought we would ever see another like snowboarding game. And this one looks pretty minimalist when it comes to a snow, Steep was like kind of like massive mountains that you were shredding and everything. And this almost reminds me of like a modern 1080. And so kind of shocking almost. Sean, what did you think when you saw this snowboarding game?
Minimalist is a good way to put it, Josh. And I take it even to the aesthetic in terms of, or the feel, where Steep was like, we are so hardcore and snowboarding. And hey, bro, like this was just like, here's a hill, here's a snowboard. You can get to the end of it. It looks like it controls pretty good. It looks like it's just very like natural. Like I don't like when extreme sports kind of try too hard. This doesn't look like it's trying too hard. So very cool. It kind of gave me almost like a Session, the skateboarding game that's kind of like, I don't know if it's necessarily a simulation, but very, very cool looking game. Looks gorgeous. I don't know that this is an overly produced. I don't think it's a gigantic developer who made this game, but definitely has me thinking about it. The game is called Shredders, which is probably the most extreme part of it, for the riders, by the riders, I guess. Yeah, cool. But Game Pass.
Yeah. Ryan, are you ready to shred?
I am ready to shred. I'm excited for this one. It kind of reminds me of Amped on the original Xbox, where it was very much a very, it wasn't so much a simulation snowboarding game, but it was just a very, stripped down, like what Sean said, not extreme game. So yeah, I think it really gave me vibes of Amped, and that gets me excited because I liked the Amped games a whole lot. So yeah, I'm excited to check this one out. Also, fun fact about the name of this game. The first thought I had when they said the name of the game was Shredders was, is this game all about multiple iterations of Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Because if so, that would be awesome. Like you got Super Shredder, you got normal Shredder. No, it's Shredders.
I don't think that's it. You can rest easy. I don't think that's the case, Ryan.
Oh man.
Yeah,
probably not.
You're actually snowboarding on a snow-covered Shredder. So just
excellent.
Excellent. There you go. We'll help you out a little bit there.
You take the goggles off and it's Shredder underneath.
Yeah, there you go.
He was there all along.
He's
Hamato Yoshi.
But these guys, I'm guessing this looks like the game like where you before you hit the slopes, you smoke a bowl and then and then just start shredding. It just looks like a kind of a chill experience, like he's like, oh look, I just kind of did a flip there, and there I did like a 180. And
in Canada, it comes with a free coupon to your hemp store, your local hemp store.
Yep.
Legal in all provinces, man.
Hey, well, there you go. So this next one, like it starts off like it looks like this kid's toys trying to balance, and then there's a gun on the screen, and you're like, what is this? And I like, are we looking at some kind of BioShock or what? What is the?
I got nothing on Atomic Heart, man. This one we can probably skip past. I got nothing on this one. I thought this was a real. It stuck out like a sore thumb. Didn't do anything for me. I thought it was kind of a tone deaf. Where do we put this? It didn't. I don't know who this is for, but it did zero for me. This was a rare miss on the show for me.
Big same. I don't know what's going on with this one. It exists. I'll say that.
Yeah, no, I didn't know about it, and unfortunately, it didn't do enough to win me over afterwards. It's got a giant ladle in it, but we could probably move on that one.
Wow, Sean is loving this game.
I got stuff to do, man. We've been running now for like 90 minutes. Like we gotta go.
We gotta get the show on the road. We gotta put the pedal to the pedal.
Let's wrap it up then. I'll just go through real quick. So Atomic Heart, and then Replaced, which I think looked absolutely stellar.
Yeah.
Right, as far as the pixel art and everything. Any big takeaways from that one from you, Sean?
Not really. Yeah, same. Like I think we should jump to Forza. Honestly, like Forza is like the big takeaway for me. Forza Horizon.
Highlight. Yeah.
Oh, are you kidding me? Forza Horizon is a showcase. It's a showpiece. It's finally gotten to the point where I think people are like, more than just people who like car games, Forza is a game for everybody. They have done such a wonderful job with that series in the past, and Mexico is the perfect playground, pardon the pun, for a Forza game. It's something that, even though it's an open world game, that it looks as great as if it wasn't an open world game. It looks like it's nicely contained, but you can explore these giant worlds that they create in these Horizon games. This is Flight Simulator we're looking at here, which looking forward to that coming to console as well. But very surprised. We saw this leak. Jeff Grubb, I think, famously did it on the Xbox Empire, saying that Forza Horizon 5 is coming out and it will be this year and it will be in Mexico. That was all confirmed for us today. They briefly highlighted some of the tech behind how they got it looking so good. And honestly, I'm pretty surprised by just how good this game looks. I would go so far to say that this is one of my most highly anticipated games for the year. And again, I'm looking at it right now. I'm blown away at the depth of the visuals on this. The draw distance is one thing, but just like the shades of color, it's different. It's a level closer to photorealistic in an open world game. And I think it's something that people are going to really enjoy, the depth of the jungle. And I've kind of described this live on stream as well. When you look at it, it looks like you can feel the humidity that you experience in there, man. I'm really, really looking forward to Forza Horizon 5.
Right here, it looks like the game the video froze.
Yep.
And that's not. You can actually see a light breeze blowing through the weeds.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And they talk about the needles, and then
boom.
There you are. Like it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is also one of my most anticipated games for this year, because I mean, Forza is one of the. It's just, I don't know, especially the Horizon series. I've always loved arcade racers.
Yep.
It doesn't really get much better than this. Ryan, kind of close us out with your thoughts on Forza here.
Same. Honestly, Forza Horizon 5 has had me excited ever since we had kind of heard, the leak from Grubb about it. Like Mexico in particular, like the one thing 4 was really missing was like an exotic locale, because the problem with going to the UK is it's a lot of farmland. It's actually very similar to the terrain we've got, where we live here in North America. So for us, it's obviously a less appealing setting. So going to a place like Mexico, where you've got a lot of cool and crazy locales to go explore, like I can't be more excited for this game. I definitely am less high than you guys, only because again, there's a lot of games coming out this year that I'm very excited about, but I am really excited to play this game this year. It's definitely in my top 10 most anticipated.
Oh yeah, no kidding. Oh my gosh, what a show! I feel like they probably could have ended on this one, but maybe it is expected, so they had to add whatever is coming in after this from Arcane. I can't even remember the name of it, to be honest with you. But like for the first time, it just seems like we're now. It almost looks like we just got dropped into like Google Maps. Like you just go from like all the way from the top all down to Street View, and you're just now roaming around in these coastal regions, and that there's mountains, and the skies look so great. Like it just looks like real, actual weather. It's not just a sunny day. It's this beautiful mix of like sun and clouds, and it looks like the day is going to get a little worse as it goes along here. Man, what a great game. They highlighted some piñatas, which hints at some of the fun. If there's anything I wish they would have highlighted a little bit more, is that party atmosphere, which is what I loved in Australia in Forza Horizon 3, that I'm really hopeful for with going over to Mexico, hoping for a bit more of that party type of atmosphere. But a really, really good showing. I was very surprised what I saw from Horizon 5 today.
It was a great show overall. Like, and we got to just mention the fridge, because that was so crazy.
Oh, give me the fridge.
That was the real one more thing. That was the real.
That was the
thing
real
with
one
the
more
fridge.
thing. You're right.
It really was. It really was. But I mean, man, this screenshot right here, just absolutely stunning. So, and it's not even a screenshot. I mean, it was video, right? You
That's
can see
the
the
game.
water moving.
Mhm.
So this is it's going to be a great game to play. I cannot wait. And so this is like the ultimate crossover show. We're doing this on the Xbox Now channel, but this is going to be an Xbox Drive podcast. So, Sean, for people that end up watching it over here, where can they find you?
Oh man, thanks for having us here, man. This is so fun to wrap things up. We did our predictions together. We did our post show together. People can find me on Twitter at Sean Capri. It's Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. I stream over at Twitch at twitch.tv/Sean Capri. And yeah, definitely people should check us out every single week on the Xbox Drive on podcast services, as Ryan would say, around the globe, my friend.
There we go. Ryan, where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turford. That's TURFORD, because everybody always asks. And as well, again, Xbox Drive on all your podcast services of choice. Plus, we've got a lot of other podcasts as well that we do. Whether if Xbox isn't your flavor, we've probably got the podcast for you. So you can check out some of our stuff on our Twitter pages there. What about you, Josh? Where can people find you?
Find me everywhere at N64Josh, and now at the Xbox, the youtube.com/Xbox Now. Thanks
Got
to
it.
Sean for being like, hey, you got those 100 subs, get that vanity URL
Get it.
up. So I had just forgotten. So that's, I forgot it was 100 subs. So I got
Nailed
that
it.
done. And xboxnow.tv is the website. Thank you guys so much for being here, for hanging out with us live. And that's going to do it for us. See you guys later.
Bye-bye.